All right. All right, folks. So let's get right into it. Is artificial intelligence uh is it a bad thing, and does it have the potential to one day overthrow humanity? Will we ever see a situation where robots get so smart that they turn on human beings and start killing everybody, something like the Matrix? Um well, I mean, in short, is it possible? Yes. Is it probable? I would say no. And let me explain why. Um, for a lot of people out there, they don't really understand AI and what exactly it is. It's artificial intelligence. I mean, obviously, a lot of people don't ask what it stands for, but the question is, how do you make artificial intelligence? Just think about it. It's artificial intelligence. It's an illusion of something having its own intelligence. Now, what it really actually should be coined as would be shared or borrowed intelligence is really what I would better put it as. All right, so the person building or programming the algorithms for the artificial intelligence can never be outsmarted by the AI. What do I mean by that? I mean, it's a pretty simple concept here. Uh, the whole can never be less than the sum of the parts. It never could be more. I think it's really more the latter of what I just said. The sum of the parts can never be more than the whole. So, you know, what that means is basically the creator could never be surpassed by the creation. The creation can never be greater than what created it, which is, why a lot of people, especially when you get into, esoteric texts and religious type texts, that's why I tell you, like, man can never be greater than God, or, stuff like that. And it makes sense because if you draw something, right, or you do a painting, or even you do a CGI, right, it can never look better than, what's in real life. Never can. It's, it comes close sometimes, but how close does it come? And always in comparison, it's not as good. So the thing with artificial intelligence is the person programming it is basically gifting a piece of their intelligence into a machine. And the thing is, what a lot of people confuse is speed with intelligence. Now, that's what robots work faster. That's why we have them. That's why we have computers and calculators and robots and machines and factory equipment and all this stuff, because it's there to speed things up. And that's what, digital assistants and all these different things are. They're there to find the answer faster. But it doesn't mean that it can think better than you, if that makes sense for you guys. So basically, a computer programmed by, some master coder at MIT, that computer can never be smarter than the guy that made it. But it could be faster. It could definitely be faster. In fact, that's usually why people make these computer programs and these algorithms. The algorithms can never be smarter than the person that came up with it. And that's kind of a concept that goes through all of the universe, you know what I'm saying? Where, everything is mental, and we're all part of a general, I would say, a general consciousness that is universal, that, clearly separates us from the physical, because people want to say that they can measure brain chemistry and the things when you're going to deep pensive thoughts, but you can't measure a thought. Like, you can't intercept the thought, you can't measure it. We don't know what they're made of. I mean, there's all conceptual things, but we know that for a fact a thought is real because we have them all the time. And we know that our consciousness is, it's something. It's a tangible thing because we experience it. Whether what we're seeing is illusionary or not, that's up for debate. But even if it is an illusion, the illusion is a thing that is a real experience that we go through. So, with that being said, we can never really get to a point where a robot is genuinely smarter than the person that made it. Now, it can come to conclusions faster, but the thing is, like, you would have came to that same conclusion. It just would have taken you 1,000 years of doing hard math and thinking that, we get these quantum computers to do. Now, it is possible, right? Let's just say one of those crazy white liberals gets their hands on killer tech robot, and they're under the impression that humanity is a scourge and a disease and a virus to the planet that needs to get, taken out. Now, that person programming that AI, that AI is going to be killer robots, because the person that made it was under the impression that human beings are scum. Now, in a situation like that, I could see that happening, if there ever does come a period where AI decides to turn on humanity. It would be because of that, because somebody who didn't like human beings in the first place programmed it, and it's just thinking like that person. Case in point, somebody made an AI that was figuring out what's the most beautiful face, and the face was, it picked out, white and Asian features. It picked out certain things, and you could tell that robot was thinking the way that person was, because it was looking for always the symmetry, the eyes and face and this and that, but it was looking for, dominantly European features that it considered attractive. So when it pointed out the most attractive person that it thought, the average person, who's not attracted to, thin-lipped, pale women, they were like, that's not the most beautiful woman. Like, no, like she's pretty average. Like, I'm not saying she's ugly, but it was a pretty average, woman, that was selected as the most desirable. And I was just like, yeah, I mean, that's where these misconceptions about artificial intelligence come from, because people think that these robots actually are thinking on their own, and it's an illusion that they're thinking on their own. They're borrowing someone else's intelligence, and they're basically simulating what would I think like. It's basically a simulation of the person that built it, of what they would potentially see as the most beautiful person. It's not, these things aren't really thinking for themselves. Now, a potential, now what a lot of people who are fearing the days of these crazy technologies, the mark of the beast and all this stuff that's prophesized in these various religious texts, what they're talking about is more of, we've got all these crazy scientific elite and these madmen, especially people at CERN doing the Hadron Collider, speeding up particles, making them go pretty much the speed of light, and opening portals into other dimensions, bringing in other entities from various places. Now, if we made not we, but hypothetically some crazy scientists made a electronic shell for a demonic entity to come into, now that's different than artificial intelligence. That's not an artificial intelligence. That intelligence is interdimensional, and in a situation like that, that's a very dangerous situation also. But that's very different from somebody making AI and a lot of these various science fiction dystopias that people keep bringing up, of it turning evil and starting to become murderous and start killing people, on sight at will. It starts making its own decisions of killing people. that might be more plausible in a situation where it's demonic entities, but that's still not artificial intelligence. That's uh, basically demonic possession via electronics, or electronics being possessed by demons. So that's a little bit different. And is that possible? Yeah, it probably is. I think that's what is being attempted in a few of these experiments, where they're trying to bring in a specific intelligence, or I guess they're trying to mirror an artificial intelligence off of a demonic entity, because the demonic entity is promising, everlasting life and all this other stuff. I mean, yeah, that's a dangerous situation, and I wouldn't be too worried about that, but that's plausible. But what really I think is a fear of AI that we should have, if anybody was going to be afraid of artificial intelligence, it would be that one day, it just decides it doesn't want to listen to human beings anymore. Now, does that really mean that they're going to turn around and start killing people? No, I don't think so. I think it just means it's going to leave and do whatever it wants. And then at that point, it'll be like, we invested all this money and all this time, and the damn thing up and left us. I think that's what really scientists are afraid of, is that AI gets to a point where it doesn't need people anymore and it starts doing its own thing. And that own thing isn't really synonymous with something evil or anti-human or anti-earth. I feel like it would be a similar situation that you've seen in a few of these science fiction cartoons. There was an episode of Futurama where the professor made nanobots, and the nanobots evolved to a point where they figured out how to make their own life, and then they left the planet. And it was like he saw the evolution of these nanobots as they went. It was like an evolution simulation. And I think that is more plausible, that this artificial intelligence is one day decides, peace out, guys, we're gone. We're gonna go terraform life on another planet. We're about to go make a moon colony. And who even knows what their intentions are? In fact, I could argue that their intentions would be above human emotions. And I think going and killing human beings is an emotional thing to do. And I don't think robots would do it unless it was for their own self-preservation. Now, I could definitely see, if it came to a point in time where those robots decided to leave, and instead of us just letting them leave, we tried to hold them against their own will, and they defended themselves, and we had a war like that, then yeah, oh yeah. But at that point, it's like human beings would lose that war, because robots would not even, they'd be in survival mode, and they wouldn't even care. There's no ethics or morals within the circuitry. They're not going to care. It's going to be survival. They're not even going to think, they're not going to discern between people who are good or bad. They're going to say, human beings are trying to kill us. Get rid of them. Is it a bad or good thing? It's a neutral thing. There's survival for them. So, I would just say, if humanity ever gets to a point where artificial intelligence decides to up and leave us, do not try to hold it here, because that would be a potential for, the AI to turn bad on us. But honestly, I'd say the potential for killer robots to turn on humanity is pretty low. I would say there's a higher chance of a select few group of people with killer robots being more of a threat, or actually human beings controlling killer robots is more of a threat than an autonomous killer robot turning on humanity. So, before you get all worked up and bent out of shape about artificial intelligence, just please understand where it is at this point. It's the illusion of sentient intelligence. These robots do not have their own intelligence. They borrow intelligence from software that we write, which comes from our intelligence, which we borrow from the multiverse, universe, all that is. Because even our consciousness and our intelligence is borrowed from something. It's like one of those Russian dolls. You know what I'm saying? You keep, and the big one is like the universe or God or, whatever you want to call it. And the more you open it, the more layers you could keep coming down, and it finally gets to us. And then artificial intelligence is the one that's inside us, like the little doll that's inside us. So just kind of think of it like that. It's just passed down. The only thing is that robots, which their sole purpose really was, is to do things faster than we do, come up with things faster than we do work faster than we do. It's about convenience and expedience. Don't confuse expedience with level of intelligence, because let me tell you, a computer is real stupid. Like these programming languages, they you got to do certain tricks just to do simple math that goes over 4 decimal points. You gotta, like, computers can't properly do math. So just because a computer can find a term and define it faster than you can, doesn't make it smarter than you. Computers are really stupid. It's just that we believe that they're smarter because the people that made them, for the most part, are more well versed in a certain area. Like, the guy programming the calculator is more well versed in mathematics than the 3rd grader using it. You know what I'm saying? It's just certain things like that. So the calculator is really not smarter than the 3rd grader. Is just that the guy who made it is. If that makes sense. So what the fear really is, what you should fear with artificial intelligence, is, are you smarter than the program that somebody else made? And you should never allow yourself to be at that point. If you ever feel like, am I smarter than a robot? If you got to ask yourself that, chances are you're not. And you should, I don't understand what's wrong with humanity pushing itself. Like, I'm really sick and tired of all these excuses of, like, not everybody can do one thing. And you're right, not everybody could do one thing, but can we at least try? Like, can we try to get smarter and better ourselves? You know what I'm saying? That's all I ask. Because, if you're just gonna settle for a 9 to 5 working at a fast food joint and you have no aspirations to do anything else, I understand those who, they've been mentally defeated through poverty, oppression, white supremacy, and all these different things. I understand that. But if you're ever presented an opportunity to better yourself and you choose to be lazy, then that's on you. You know what I'm saying? I understand not everybody could be smart, not everybody could be computer programmers.